Creative design and process. This is the first topic of the course, and it depicts the general workflow of a graphic designer, also known as the creative process. How do you become creative? This question has been asked by many people, but it has no right answer. Each person has their own definition for creativity. For some, it's the means to solve a problem, and for others, it's to take risks and facing fears. But at its core, creativity is a phenomenon in which something new and somehow valuable is formed. And it's just the same with the creative process. There is no right recipe or formula for the creative process that will guarantee success. You should have a basic understanding of it, but with time and experience, you will learn and create your own process that you're most comfortable with. In the industry of graphic design, each creative process begins with a creative brief. After that, my personal process splits into 3 phases, which are research, where I gather all the information I would need; concept development, where I let my creativity free and try out different ideas; and finally, production, where the design is finalized and prepared for delivery. In this topic, we will talk about the creative brief, research, and concept development. Later in the course, you will get to work on some common production tasks like photo retouching, color enhancement, and many more. We begin with the creative brief. This part of the process is usually developed by the client or the designer, and sometimes collaborated between the two. It defines the goals, the scope, and vision of a project. It will identify the target audience, objectives, schedule, and any necessary details. While working on a project, you will find yourself referring back to this document to ensure that your ideas and work is meeting the set objectives. Following the creative brief, each great design begins with even better research. When beginning work on a project with an already established brand, you might be provided with a document outlining all of the brand's guidelines. But a lot of times you would have to do your own research and collect all the information you would need by yourself. You would need to get yourself familiar with the client's brand and its values, their personality and what customers they attract. What is their aim and vision, their goals, and if they are trying to attract new audience. You'll have to look at aspects of their identity and take into account their distinctive use of colors, imagery, typeface, and logos. You will also need to look into their industry and their competition, looking into what can be done similarly, differently, or improved. The better research you make here before diving into designing, the more likely you are to create a successful project that will be relevant to your client's needs. After completing your research, you will be able to start working on your concept development. This phase doesn't really have a right or wrong way of completing. You could go as simple as just using pen and paper, or work digitally by using dedicated websites where you can easily collaborate with a team and have all of your concepts on the go. You could also combine both digital and traditional ways when developing your concepts and sketches. For example, you could begin by sketching on paper and eventually move to Photoshop, where you will refine your concept before turning it into the final product in the production phase. Whichever way you choose, when concepting, you should let your ideas and creativity free. You could create mind maps where you write down your thoughts, mood boards to inspire you and refer back to throughout this phase. Use any source that inspires you, whether it would be the web, books, or so on. This is the process where you can be free to try out anything without being creatively limited. And finally, production. This is the final phase of the creative process, and it's the part where you finally get to work on your already created ideas with the appropriate software tools, turning the concept into an actual artwork ready for print or digital delivery. Later in the course, you will get to experience the work process for yourself, with some common designing tasks in Adobe Photoshop.